Good afternoon, good morning, and good day. And yeah, check it out. Alright, I made a build. It's a lore build. It is a poacher. And you're like, what's a poacher? What does that have to do with the lore? You guys remember Jarbairn? You guys remember the little dude? The little guy who calls you cuz, and he's looking for the potentate, or potentate? I don't know how to pronounce it. Whatever, he wants a soft-handed dude, or dudette to take care of the pots in the pot village. And they get attacked, right? They get destroyed. They get many lives are lost that day because the poachers came and smashed all the pots. And as horrible as that is, and how much that broke my heart, something did cross my mind. What kind of vile creature would do that to these poor lads? Well, it would probably be the most vile and the most rotten type of person who would do it. And what would they run? What type of build would they be in Elden Ring? Well, they'd use a bludgeoning tool, like the Duelist hammer, and they'd be a rotten, horrible person. So what better than to run rot, bleed, or rot, poison? Just kind of like an obnoxious, like heavy pressure type build. So this is a strength arcane build that runs on bleed, poison, and rot. Mostly just poison and rot by the end of it. I was finding less success with the bleed because people respect bleed. And when people respect bleed, I can't play as aggressively, and I don't like fighting passive players. So it was less fun. And then I was like, pulley crossbow, I could put them to sleep. That could add to the fun to it, and just create a little bit more of passivity when they are being too aggressive, and I am dealing with too much pressure. But generally speaking, the goal was just to play the psychological warfare of poisoning and rotting my opponent, and potentially, punishing boluses. Now, there's a lot of footage actually that did not make it into the video because I was trying to get a hang of the build and see how exactly I was going to run it. So originally I wanted to have an ant spur rapier on the offhand and parry with it. But I found that because of the armor and because I'm trying to stick to lore, like I'm using the depraved perfumer set, and I'm using the omen killer boots and gloves because it gives me the most like heinous look, I find. And the jar head, obviously, because smash the jar, wear it on his head, this dude's an absolute psycho. Now, if we could have used the raw meat dumplings in the arena, I'd be using those too, just for lore reasons specifically. Not even to heal, just to like eat them at the start to show that like this character is a monster. And that's the thing, the lore reason, or the lore theory behind who these poachers are, is that they are perfumers. They are perfumers looking for ingredients for their concoctions. And the reason why they're doing that, or doing it that way, is because the innards of jars, like jar shards and all that, and raw meat dumplings and whatever, like, they're crafting materials, or at least jar shards and like the whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. You people who play this game more understand what I'm saying. Look, I'm the vibes guy, alright? I'm the dude who plays this game and is just a silly goose. And you may have noticed, like, I'm using pots, I'm using perfumes, I'm using everything, because that was the concept and idea of the poacher. In the lore, I would assume that because they're gathering these rare materials, they're going to use these rare materials to fight in the Elden Wars. You know what I mean? The wars for the Elden Ring, the Shattering Wars, or whatever, right? So, I don't know. You have to understand, too, if I sound incoherent, if I sound like I'm not making any sense, it's because I am sleep deprived, and I have had enough caffeine today probably to kill a toddler, okay? Like, I had 2 coffees, I had some heavy amounts of pre-workout, and then I decided to do a live stream and drink G Fuel throughout the live stream. So, yeah, this is a post-live stream, but a separate recording that was done a day or 2 prior. And I don't know, I just felt inspired. I wanted to make a silly little build, and I was feeling vile, I was feeling rotten, I was feeling terrible. So I decided to do this, and I experimented. So you can see a lot of these matches, like, it gets more optimal as this video progresses. So I saw, like, oh, we're not doing much damage with the holy pots because this isn't a faith build. If it was a faith build, holy pots would be decimating, they would be destroying. But this is mainly strength and arcane. So maybe the fire pots, like not the Giant's Flame pots, because they also scale off of faith, but maybe like the Radon, the red main flame pots would have been better, I would assume. I'm going to guess that much. But yeah, instead I realized Rancor pots are pretty solid, very decent. And freezing pots create a status effect, which, you know, technically this is a status build where I'm going for poison and rot, and we're trying to punish the boluses. Now, why Rancor pots? Well, as you can see, Rancor pots are free pressure. They're forcing my opponent to roll, they're forcing my opponent to do things, and if they hit, they actually do pretty decent damage. So they can't take a bolus, they're just going to absolutely like take that poison and take that rot damage, because I'm applying pressure with that. And the Spark Aromatic resets the freeze, so I can throw another freezing pot. I forgot to use the Spark Aromatic before. I was testing too. I'm like, do 2 freezing pots in a row do something? And there, right there, that's the drawback of this build. Even if two-handing the Great Hammer, it's a slow weapon, it's easy to parry. The timing is not too far off, so, you know, it is what it is, it do what it do. Also, you might be wondering, Buppo, why is the music continuous? Usually the music, you just leave the music for duels on. Well, I forgot to turn it on that time. I turned the music off for Recusant Revelries, and I realized after the fact that, oh no, I forgot to reset the music. And that's right! For those of you wondering, I am actually working on Recusant Revelries this time, but not just saying it, for real. You guys can watch my past live stream as a making of. Now, the first episode of making of, that footage is gone and lost, so I apologize. I ended up starting it over, so we have an episode 0 that we just call it a test run at this point. Episode 2 of it is technically episode 1, so if that doesn't make any sense, because you're like, well, there's like a whole other build in Recusant Revelries, why did you start over? Well, first of all, the mage build, I didn't like. The new build, it's a faith strength build, and we're in season 2 now. Surprise, surprise, season 2. Announcing it here. You're hearing it first, folks. I mean, you probably would have heard it as well if you saw the YouTube community post announcement that I made, but doesn't matter. You know, Recusant Revelries, it's back, and it's better than ever. It's better than ever. Also, no idea how he didn't get slept right there. Oh, I don't think, because I'm not running sleep anymore. I'm running poison and rot on the crossbow, literally just to apply that poison rot pressure, and that's it. But yeah, Recusant Revelries Season 2, working title was The Revival, but now we're calling it Dark Bloom, based on one of my favorite songs. More will be explained in that video. Anyways, back to this. The Rotten Poacher. So, poachers, we will assume, the theory is that they're just perfumers that have definitely gone mad and have completely lost their sense of morality, and are just purely going in for the you know, for the best materials possible, whether it be at the cost of innocent lives. And as you can see, Rancor pots, it's just free pressure, free damage if they don't move. And yeah, look at this, he's gonna get caught right here. He runs out of stamina. Nope, I'm incorrect. Either way, it's just free pressure. It's just free pressure. He couldn't roll anymore. And, you know, it's kind of like spellcasting, except it's not. It's consumables, so arguably it's more obnoxious. Like, listen. I can make an obnoxious build, and this was on my mind. Homie over here has a full-on regen build going with Scarlet Rot, so he's trying to regen his health while your health drains slowly and surely. What he probably didn't expect is that I'm running Poison Rot. And I'm running pressure with Rancor pots. So even with Rancor pots, even with all his regen, it's not going to save him from the fact that once he's poisoned and rotted, he's going to take a massive amount of damage that his armor and shield cannot out-heal. And that's it. That's the build. It's just pure constant pressure. It's psychological torture. And you guys thought the bow build was obnoxious? You guys thought the bow build was bad? Look at this. Look at this. You know what I thought of doing to make it even more obnoxious? Run a bow on it. Run a bow on it. Once they start running away, pelt them with arrows. Keep them running so they can't bolus. Keep them running so they can't bolus. And that was the idea. That was the original idea. And I went, that's too much, Buppo. We got the crossbow to do that, just to apply status. We don't need to torture them with arrows on top of it. It's really fucked up. We're not going to do that. Pardon my French there. I get one swear on YouTube. I get one swear and that's what it's going to be. And yeah, look, Rancor pot pressure, freeze pot pressure. This is just pure pressure. What was he going to do? What was he going to do? Roll out? Run away? No, he's going to get frozen and die. GG. Well played. It is what it is. I'm not going to make my usual joke. I make that live, so I'm sorry you're going to have to watch the live streams. You're going to have to tune in on Fridays at, you know, 9 or 11 p.m. EST, where I will be doing the Recusant Revelries series, very specifically, so tune in for that. Come check that out. Duelist Diaries is still running, obviously. Got 2 other builds cooked up for Duelist Diaries. The builds are finished. The footage, one of them I have to re-record a bit because it's from patch 1.10, but I want to make a comparison between the 2 patches, so we're going to see that in the next Duelist Diary video. Don't want to spoil that right away. It is a very interesting build. A terrible build. It's a bad build, but it's a fun build that I want you guys to see. And the other build, I can spoil a little bit. I'll give you the name of it. It's the Orcish King. And I love the Orcish King build, alright? I'm just going to tell you guys now, he wears Radahn armor. And Radahn armor, I know it's the noob armor, I know it's the silly noob set, but like, hear me out, trust me on this, it's a good build, it's you know, I want to redeem that armor, I want to give it a new sense of purpose. I know it's the armor that every new player uses, but like, it's got a bad rap, and I'm here to, you know, try to save its reputation. But not this build though. There ain't no reputation to save. This is to ruin my reputation. And technically, it's like it's a new take on my Rotten Duelist build. So you guys might have remembered, like, one of the first videos I put out on this channel was the Rotten Duelist. You may have already seen the video. It's kind of the same build technically. It's just power stancing isn't as good as it used to be. And with the new poise system, because yeah, this is patch 1.10, I don't know if I mentioned this by now, it just doesn't run as well. It's not as good as, per se, just running one two-handed hammer and getting the hyper armor off of it. Now, maybe the dual hammers would be better with better armor, because I know the hyper armor seems to activate based on your active poise. You no longer get passive poise. But, you know, we're running lore-friendly armor here. We're running Omen Killer boots and gloves and depraved armor, like depraved perfumer armor. So the most poise you're going to get is from the jar on his head, and even then, that jar is like only going to do so much poise, right? So not ideal for hyper armor, but when two-handed, I noticed the hyper armor seems to be better. I could be completely wrong about that, but I don't know. I found that the build worked better and it ran better in that specific way with that specific capacity. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're running. That's how we're gaming. And yeah, as you can see, Rancor pots to provide pressure if they're being too passive and running away. If they're being too aggressive, you have the Perfumer, Spark Aromatic, and freeze pots if you want them to take more damage, because since this is a arcane poison strength build, you're not going to be dealing that much raw physical damage, so giving them a bit of a debuff to increase your damage is where it's at. That's also why we're running Barbaric Roar. It's not necessarily to get the hyper armor, because it's a slow trade with this Great Hammer. It's honestly just more to be able to deal more reasonable damage on top of the Poison Rot. Now, we don't win this fight, but if it was an invasion, we win this fight. It's just, you know, it's not a stalemate unless both characters have the same dying animation and die at the same time. I've gotten stalemates where I died first, but because I have the long death animation and they had the short death animation, it would turn into a stalemate. And sometimes it would win matches because of that. It's a little messed up. But that's Elden Ring for you. It's not a perfect game, but it's a fun game, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it despite everything. This new patch, I don't know, mixed feelings. I'm going to be real with you guys. Patch 1.10, I haven't really talked about it in this video. Talked about it a bit during my live streams, but like, there's stuff I like, there's stuff I don't like. I'll just say this. I'll just say this. We spent an entire year learning a meta and developing, you know, strategies to play this game in PvP. And then the developers just said, nah. The developers said, you know, whatever you learned, that's it. Bold decision, mind you. You know, crazy choice. Wouldn't have done it personally, but at the same time, because, like, it wasn't broke. They didn't need to fix it. Well, a lot was broke, but, like, this didn't fix it, is what I'm saying. A lot of the prior issues still stand and need fixing, and I don't know if we're going to get that. But for now, at least there's something new to do. At least there's something new to learn, and this is, like, I will say an interesting meta. I do like what's changing and what's not. This horrified me. Yep, my man's fighting in different timelines. I didn't realize I was fighting the, you know, multi-dimensional bull goat, who's fat rolling, so that was interesting. And somehow managed to get his guard broken, so you know what? We're just going to light him on fire with that. Easy peasy, big old squeezy. You know, easiest match of my entire life. Not really, but at the same time, it's like I don't think this guy had the... I don't think this guy read the patch notes, so we go for a rematch with him. I don't remember exactly how the rematch goes, but what I can tell is that he doesn't know that passive poise is no longer a thing. There's no way that he knows. Alright, woke him up with that there. Gave him the time he needed to reassess. Wasn't too much of a jerk on him there. But yeah, look. I think he's expecting to passively poise that. And he's expecting to stun me, but like hyper armor on the hammer. Absolutely silly, right? But you know, this is the state of the game now. This is patch 1.10 now. Hyper armor is king. Passive poise is gone. And new problems have arisen, as well as new interesting setups. Like the Orc King would have not worked at all on the past patch, but now the Orc King is like not only one of my favorite builds, but very interesting and fun to play. And you guys are going to see that in the next Duelist Diaries episode. This build, different, not the best, not the worst, just, you know, I feel like it's not as good as the original Rotten Duelist, but that was so many patches ago that I wouldn't even be able to make the comparison. Plus, this build relies more on using jars, so it's like, it's kind of like a combination of the Potentate build that I made and the Rotten Duelist, and this is the Poacher, not the Potentate. This is the dude who came in, terrorized the village. And yeah, look at that, free pressure with the Rancor pots. This is what I'm talking about. You know, they can't use a Ballist. If they use a Ballist, they die, so they kind of had already lost. The best thing they could have done is sprinted away, but I would have just sprinted the gap or just kept throwing pots. There's nowhere to... This is a huge arena, and there's still nowhere to run with this, the obnoxiousness of this build. So, you know, is what it is. And the Spark Aromatics deal solid damage. Again, Rancor pots, free pressure. And it's, you know, when are they gonna Ballist when there's skulls chasing them? Like, you could probably run this with the spells as well, like the Ancient Death Rancor Call, if you run like Poison Rod on that too. Horrible suggestion, please don't do that. Plus the pots are just cheaper to use. Like, look at that. Look at the FP for the same result, for the same amount. I'm not trying to kill him with the Rancors, by the way. I'm just trying to stress him out and have him watch his health slowly drain. So, yeah, this is a bullying build. It's for bullying purposes. Here are the stats for it, if you want to try it for yourself. Up next are the equipment and talismans that I use to maximize its potential. So that's it, guys. Take care. Have yourselves a good night. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. You know, do all the things. See ya. Love ya.
Subscribe to Big Buppo's YouTube. You must. Or tickle your toes. I will.